morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 113 of the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. On this week's episode, it's all about the Scottish Championship. Big crunch games this Friday. At the top of the league, for who wins, for the playoff places, and so on and so forth. So, joining me this week is Jolly John. Hello. Keen Falkirk fan who was at the Partick Thistle Stadium last Friday night. I only tuned in for the final 2 minutes, and that was enough for my curse to strike again. I've still yet to see Falkirk FC win. So we'll be talking about that and what the prospects are looking like on Friday night, whether we think Falkirk will overcome their demons, and what on earth has happened, particularly in that game. We will also be reviewing the other championship teams as well, in terms of what season they've had, what they are likely to get up to, in anticipation for our Falkirk season review next week. Anyway, joining myself, Positive Paul, is John. Hello John, how are we this week?
Yeah, okay. On Suicide Watch. But
well no, we're going to talk about the Switzerland trip later. Anyway, that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about.
I heard there's some good clinics there.
No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Anyway, let's get straight on with things, shall we? Okay, not that we make any money out of these things, but we're definitely getting demonetised now.
Oh yeah, big time.
On a more positive note, you have booked a trip to Switzerland. See, Servette is the team that you're going to see?
It is, yep. Fairly coincidental, I think. So,
okay.
I had, like I was sort of telling you off air, I had the long weekend kind of booked in anyway. It was a case of trying to find reasonably cheap flights to a country that I'd never been to before, because Milan was tempting for another trip to the San Siro. But Geneva, weirdly enough, is reasonably priced flights.
Nice place.
Lovely place to go.
Yeah.
I've been recommended a chocolate factory to go and visit as well.
Lots of good dessert treats is what I was thinking, yes.
I've also found this amazing, what do you call them, boulangerie, patisserie.
Oh, right.
That does like all these different flavoured croissants.
It's kind of what they're known for, isn't it?
I'm more buzzing about that than anything else.
Well, that's good. Something to look forward to. What's the name of the league out there?
The Swiss Super League.
Swiss Super League. I was thinking, I saw something for the Juniper League or something the other day, which is the Belgian league, isn't it?
I think that's the second tier of the Belgian league.
Tier, okay. But I was reminded of, there was a period of time back when football television was sort of semi-interesting, where like ESPN, you could watch the Eredivisie was quite a big deal on ESPN.
Yes.
The Portuguese league.
Oh yeah, that used to be on TNT Sports or on BT Sports.
BT Sports was on as well. You could get some of the Belgian games. The Italian games now,
they're still on TNT Sports.
Still on TNT Sports.
Not as
frequently.
Yeah, not as intense. So you get the Sunday night game and you get the occasional.
Well, I used to be able to watch every PSG game on BT.
On BT Sports as well, yeah.
Back, when at the peak, and I remember when I speak to our friend Darren.
Who?
Exactly. The PSG game would be on one screen and I could watch the Bilbao game on Sky back when people used to care about La Liga before they went on their different model. Funny enough, I was when I was watching the Toronto Maple Leafs playoff game, it was the tail end of the Barcelona Real Madrid game that went to extra time was on, which doesn't seem to have gone that well for Real Madrid.
No,
either.
We're very much going off topic because I am like to delay not talking about Falkirk. Have you watched the kind of very end of that kind of game, the El Clasico with Rudiger?
Oh, wait, the jump stuff.
Basically losing the rag.
He looks psycho.
Aye, that's
absolutely
murder
psycho.
victim kind of stuff, that is. But then I kind of thought, is he maybe doing that for a bit of a show? Try to act the big man. But if what would have happened if the coaches hadn't held them back? Like at what point, where is the invisible barrier? Is it the touchline? Is it 10 yards from the ref? Is it in his face? Like, he wasn't going to touch him.
I think you need to come down on this behaviour like a ton of bricks, because I remember when I said about the Rangers water bottle incident, it's not on.
But realistically, what's it going to do? Like, no, there's not going to be a pitch invasion. There's not going to be a mass brawl.
Anyway,
there's too many tourists in that
the Partick Thistle game on that note.
That could have been a mass brawl.
I know.
Then you remember it's Partick Thistle.
But if he's chucking stuff at referees, what to say that trickles down to Sunday League and stuff like that, where referees are getting abused left, right and centre.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
They are leading the line. We need to hold them to high standards. But, yes. So, Straight to the championship action.
Start at the top for now.
Falkirk against Partick Thistle last week. This would be the
penultimate game.
Is this the second or third opportunity they've had to win the league?
Oh, crikey.
Against Ayr United, it wouldn't have done it mathematically, but it basically
done it.
Yes. So that was one chance blown.
Yep.
This is chance number 2 blown.
Well, this is probably chance number 3.
Aye.
The Wraith
they
game.
got beat by Wraith.
The Wraith game was the real clincher.
Yes.
That should have been it. We've made one win out of like maybe the last 3 or 4 games.
Yes. So, as I've been saying, John, I've been watching the ice hockey playoffs recently. Right? Tremendous. Oh, by the way, Montreal Canadiens, Washington Capitals. There was a brawl on one of the benches in between periods. I'll need to show you at the end. It is tremendous. And the refs are brave as because they're getting in between these guys as they're trying to punch. That's the way you play sports. Anyway,
that's how Canadian players punch.
Exactly. And I'm moaning about Rudiger. It's like, hit him. No, not you, Antonio. Get back. That's not allowed. But the thing they talk about in ice hockey, and I presume in baseball as well, is that basically what you do in the regular season doesn't matter as long as you make it to the playoffs. That's the fundamentals of a sort of North American sport.
In American sports, absolutely.
And last year, the Boston Bruins won the league with a record total of points. How deep do you think they made it in the playoffs?
They got knocked out in the first round.
They got knocked out in the first round. Now, Falkirk all season have been consistent. They are the Mr. Consistent of the league. Do they have what it takes for the big games?
No. I said this last week.
Can I just say, that was a big elaborate point, John, in which I gave several examples.
Yeah, no, listen, I could give you several examples where Falkirk have bottled big occasions.
Indeed. But I thought this had gone. I thought this was a new culture. This was a new team.
It was just a matter of time. It had taken a very slight vacation for a season.
But this is under McGlynn.
Laugh,
kind of has a
I mean, listen, it's a funny way of looking at Falkirk's season, in that you've been riding high top of the league the whole season, give or take, and it's amazing. And if you had asked me in the close season, I would have bitten your hand off for this very position.
Yeah, and you didn't believe they would win the league at the start of the season.
No,
really?
I kind of says, like, if given the squad that we had, and I still kind of maintain this a little bit, the kind of squad that we came up with was a championship squad.
Yep.
It probably wasn't a title winning squad, and that if we were comfortable enough in the league, we've got a lot of guys in 2-year deals, it would be the following season, so basically next season would have been the season that they'd been expecting us to challenge for the league title. If we had finished 5th this season, it was fine, in my opinion.
So, on that note, do you think that Livingston have perhaps underperformed in terms of who would have been expected to go and do the business?
I think...
Because I don't think you would have expected Ayr to do it either.
No, I mean, Ayr made some reasonable signs. I would say the critical thing for Ayr this season was the loss of Anton Dowds. Because they started like a train, scoring plenty of goals when they had Oakley and Dowds up front as a kind of 4-4-2. That is how, for some reason, Scott Brown set us up.
Yep.
And I think with that loss, that completely knocked the stuffing out of their kind of season, their structure, how they wanted to play. And I think that's ultimately been their kind of limitation a little bit. They've also had a lot of kind of chopping and changing in goalkeepers, and Scott Brown's made some really weird decisions.
Okay.
I can't speak for Ayr fans, but I think there's a few of them wondering what the hell is going on and whether he's the right man to take them forward. That's not for me to say.
Third is doing alright still, I think.
Third is reasonable. They've kind of dropped off a little bit. Their performance against Livingston was embarrassing. And their performance against us, it was fine. I think
they matched them.
They kind of matched us. We weren't that great. Again, we looked a little bit nervous, which wasn't helping matters. So, from a kind of Ayr point of view, the good season, I think, finishing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Livingston, I'm deferring off of Falkirk already. Livingston, I think, have had the season they probably expected to have.
Okay. You mentioned nerves there. Again, I only watched the highlights in the last 2 minutes of the 2-1 defeat to Partick Thistle. And that first goal looked like a very nervous mistake.
I disagree.
Do you?
I think it was arrogant nonsense for Tom Lang.
Okay.
Genuinely, when you watch it, he takes this absolutely over-the-top outlandish touch deliberately.
Yes.
The way, it's just cockiness. And he's like that. He is that kind of player. He very much believes in himself. I mean, he is a model. Of course he believes in himself. Like, for all
model for who?
Be inspired.
Oh.
He suckered me into buying a few sort of bits of clothing.
One of the 3 people probably bought things off the back of that performance.
Yeah, so he was giving the big in to Keelan Adams. He was blaming Keelan Adams for the pass back. I think he could have cleared these lines with the very first touch. It didn't need to.
It was a big mistake.
Yeah, huge. That was, like I say, it was a level of arrogance that just shouldn't have been there. Like, but that wasn't the first time I kind of done that either in the game as well. Hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
It was just all this kind of like sort of passing back to Nicky Hogarth in goal, who always looks nervous. He came into a better game the last 3 or 4 weeks, but there is that mistake in him one way or another.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate it was Tong Lang, but nevertheless,
emphatic finish by Brian Graham, who's been amazing. I think he's the top scorer, isn't he?
I think he's
15
by quite a distance as well. I think it's 15 goals. Next is 8 or 9, I think.
Scott Arfield's on the list of 9.
Yeah, this is it.
That is great
for a signing in January. Who we'll maybe get on to it.
He's like their second top scorer.
Well, so this is the other Falkirk issue: is we haven't had a consistent goal scorer all season. It's been shared out. That may catch up with us. It's kind of getting to that stage, but
one game.
Kind of coming back to though, I mean, certainly looking at Falkirk in the early stages of that game against Partick, like they wanted to play their game. They wanted to play this passing game on the deck. The pitch was pretty poor. I wasn't going to say it was dreadful. It wasn't dreadful. It was a little bit bobbly.
Yes,
and we never adapted to that, and that's our fault. 100%. We never adapted to the conditions.
Funny enough, Martindale was talking about that this week a bit as well.
Aye.
When they were talking about Astro pitches, it's like some of these pitches are dreadful.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point.
That was, we wanted to play as if we were playing on our AstroTurf, passing it out the back, passing it into midfield. Nah, you have to be able to adapt, particularly at this time of the season, to what you're doing. We just need an agricultural 1-0 win out of any of these games, but no, we persist in playing a style which, fair enough, has got us to this point. But it's a different dynamic now, and we're not adapting to it.
So they go. Partick this will go a man down.
Rightly so.
Who was it sent off again?
Bannigan. He should have been sent off for his first challenge. He absolutely wiped him out. And anyway,
he kind of knew with the second one, didn't he? Because you see on the highlights, he's like,
it wouldn't have mattered what his sort of follow up challenge would have been. He was walking a tightrope anyway. Yeah. Again, I actually said this last week about McGlynn and Sean Mackey. That's poor management. From Partick. They should have seen that a mile off that he was going to get himself sent off. Like, he should have been off immediately.
So there's another game that they find themselves the man advantage, which actually probably makes things more difficult for them in a way.
No,
less open. No, because I don't think there was much going forward, is what I heard. I've not seen
the atmosphere kind of felt kind of, when they say completely flat, but the life had been sucked out of it a little bit. That sending off lifted everybody massively. I mean, that galvanised the whole away support. And you thought, right, we're onto something. And for the entirety of the first half, it was move forward, attack.
Okay.
Bob's in the wing. Calvin Miller missed a glorious opportunity where he probably could have squared it to Dylan Tate, who probably would have blazed over the bar. But nevertheless, that was a better option than trying to take the shot. Again, it's a bobbly park. Anything could have happened there. But it was the same thing, and there was the gaps to either side. And we rightly got our equaliser. I think
good equaliser, Scott Arfield.
Pressure told, really good finish.
Keeping the shot down, that's all you need to do in the championship, by the way.
Little bit of composure. That's the difference between a great player and Calvin Miller.
No, right, hold on with a great player. It's the difference between a good player and
anyone
else that plays in the championship.
He is a great player in the championship. I'll context it like that.
He was a great player. He's now a good player.
He's a great player in the championship. He's a good player everywhere else.
I'll acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's levels,
Yes.
And at that point, like, right, this is your ascendancy. The crowd was
going well,
massively going over. You thought, brilliant. We've escaped big time going into half time. Like, you're back level. They're a man down. This is your chance to go either 2 up top or find a way to kind of just batter the door down, because they're going to really shut up shop. He makes no changes at half time. Okay, fair enough. I think, to be honest with you, we were kind of struggling to take anyone off. Everyone was doing relatively well. And then he kind of gets to the hour mark, and he brings on Miller Thompson, who he's no good enough. He's a wee laddie. He reminds me a lot of Alex Harris, if you remember him in a Falkirk jersey.
Yep.
Oh, dreadful. He's not combative enough. He's too weak. He's just not cut out for this game at this time of the season. Not working.
Yeah.
Likewise, he goes like for like, taking off McKeever and bringing on Barney Stewart. He brings on Gary Oliver for Scott Arfield.
Your favourite player.
And it's all like for like. And he's like, well, we haven't registered a single shot on target or a
You're
shot
you're not changing anything
in the second half. We're playing against 10 men. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We need to stretch this game a wee bit. Everything was going down the right hand side. Everything. And for the most part, there were doubling up on Calvin Miller. He just couldn't really kind of wriggle his way through all of that. He did his best he could, but there was no kind of thought to go, especially the one side, drag them all there and then fling it to the other side and see what we could do.
Mm-hmm.
There was just wasn't there. They just weren't thinking straight. Whether it was the players
a few times this season as well.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's if you're ever watching Falkirk and if you're playing against Falkirk, the best thing you can do is go really narrow at your back four, because our two wingers want to cut inside at every single opportunity.
There's not been many headed goals this season.
Not too many headed goals. Not too many proper cross balls or anything.
No.
It's all, for the most part, the second half of the season, it's been Scott Arfield, edge of the box.
Yes.
That's your goal.
Yes.
And it's better teams figure this out really quickly. That's why Livingston have had our number. That's why Ayr pretty much had our number. Partick should have had better results against us throughout this season. But we've been really fortunate in that they've had players sent off in pretty much every game.
Yeah.
It's our luck's run out, basically. That's the kind of critical bit.
Yeah, well, I think teams are playing harder at this tail end of the season.
We're not combating against it. We're not street smart enough, and
No.
we can go into particularly Alfie Agaman sending off, which is never a red card in a million years. The Partick player, it's embarrassing to watch, but that's the result you get.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately that is the game now. But we can't look at that and go, oh, that's shocking, that's deplorable, that's going to cost us the league. In a split moment, yes, it does, but we had like an hour playing against 10 men and did nothing.
Couldn't do anything.
Absolutely nothing. So that's an issue.
Well, when it does come to the last goal, it's just it's a last minute free kick.
Yeah, and again, it's Gary Oliver. He does not need to make that challenge. He just needs to shadow the boy to the corner.
Yeah.
And then we come away with a draw. It maintains pressure on Livingston to get the result the following day, which we're probably going to get anyway.
Yes.
But it's just mad. I don't know what he was thinking, just trying to haul him down there. It was so cynical, it was unreal. I was actually doing my nut when he filled him. Couldn't believe it.
Aye. Well, they score from that. A very clever header. I can't remember who it was. Almost again as if in slow motion.
Yeah,
to go past the keeper.
It's Brad Spencer. I think it's Brad Spencer's the kind of last man. Now, there's a very slight argument to say he was offside. And again, I'm not really interested in that. The marking and the defending on that cross is shambolic. And this happens again every single week because we do zonal marking and it catches us out. Again, but we're getting I'm properly poking holes in what has actually been on paper a good season. But these are things that have been happening week in, week out.
Yeah.
And by luck or by just continually pushing forward, we've managed to kind of find a way out of it.
Yeah.
We're not doing that anymore.
What I found interesting is, I think in the post-game comments, I heard McGlynn mention the playoffs. And I was like, whoa, that's...
There's no point in us going into the playoffs. None.
Absolutely not, but I thought it was interesting from a mentality point of view that you're already sort of in defence mode, that you're like, well, if the playoff, and you're like, no.
This is it.
That, like, and we know that. They're not going to be a good playoff team.
They've never been a good playoff team, ever.
Never been a good playoff team. And it nullifies the Wraith result for Partick Thistle, who were very excited and invaded the park.
Yeah, I found that kind of funny, and I
last minute winner, it's a big thing.
I really need them to get a good result against Livingston, but at the same time, it'd be very funny if they finish 5th after having a pitch invasion against us for no reason.
So Livingston, after beating Ayr United 5-0 the week before, beat Hamilton 3-0.
3-0, yep.
Which in reality is not good enough to push the goal difference thing.
No, I mean, so I think we're now equal. We're +9, I think, on them, if memory serves. I think we were +36 or something like that.
So goal difference of 37 to Livingston's 29.
Yeah, it's +8.
So if Falkirk beat Hamilton 1-0, that put them on 38, so Livingston would need to win 9-0 to balance it, so i.e. 10-0. So they're not doing that.
Nah. So that is in our favour, unfortunately.
Touching wood.
Touching wood.
There are some strange results on the last day of the season.
Oh, this is it.
They went and beat Hamilton 3-0. By the way, Partick Thistle on 52 points to Wraith Rovers 50. So
it's all to play for it. I think Wraith are away to Queen's Park.
Okay.
So they should expect to win that.
Goal difference is 0, so if Partick draw, they're probably okay.
Yeah, but I would not put it past.
Partick are a goal difference of 4.
Wouldn't put it past Wraith to win like 5-0, 6-0. Because Queen's Park have got nothing to play for at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment, this is the kind of elephant in the room. Is if we go right to the very bottom of the league,
Yes.
talk about Hamilton's 15-point deduction. They have their appeal being heard on Thursday.
Yeah.
And if any sort of reprieve from that comes into effect, that could cause some real issues.
So they're in 10th and 21. So if you put their 15 back, that takes you to 36, doesn't it?
So
that puts them above Queen's Park, who are on 35 and 8th.
Automatically relegates Airdrie.
It would automatically relegate Airdrie.
And it becomes a 3-way fight for 9th, if memory serves.
I don't see them giving them back all their points.
I can see them giving them back just enough. I can see them giving them back like...
If they give them back 5, it would be next to pointless.
So I reckon their 15 points deduction will become something like 9.
Right.
So they'll get 6 back.
Ooh.
And that takes them, I think, within 2 points of
Airdrie.
Who's
on 29.
And I
The
think
goal
that's...
difference of minus 27.
I think that's what'll happen. Because...
So they're going to be pumped for the game at the Falkirk Stadium.
So this is the thing. Now, I am going to sound a little bit bitter when I talk about this, but I think that's bang out of order for them to give any kind of reprieve whatsoever on those points deductions. Because given the amount of games they've played since,
Yes.
have effectively been dead rubbers. But for them,
it's very hard to argue that.
They were kind of relegated against Queen's Park. It was a 0-0 draw.
Yes.
That confirmed the relegation as things stand. Then they go on to play like Livingston. Now, as things stand, from a kind of psychological point of view, for them, they're relegated, they're down.
Yeah.
Nothing to play for. Likewise, if you're Dunfermline, Queen's Park, Airdrie, mentally, you've kind of went, we're not going to get relegated. There's less pressure on that game. And maybe their results have been affected ever so slightly with that. For the kind of sport integrity point of view, you can't suddenly go, okay, right, well, we'll just give you some points back. They just can't do it. Well, they will, but they can't. They shouldn't.
I have no idea. Like, there is next to no precedence for any of this in terms of...
But it's cumulative. So you have like someone like Bonnyrigg 6-point deduction for a poor pitch, or an issue with their pitch. That's an issue for Hamilton. Hamilton have lost their licence for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
They haven't been paying their players. That's a massive points deduction.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think from their point of view, they would have known that the appeal would have been coming. So I don't think you could say that they would have given up. I think they would have still kept going.
It's a mentality thing, and it's easy to argue the case that they have from
either way.
From this perspective.
Either
Absolutely.
way, the next Friday, this is a game that Falkirk should win.
Should. Regardless of where Hamilton are, if they're fighting potentially for a playoff position, or if they're already relegated, yes, like unquestionably, we will bottle it though.
Well,
we will. It will happen. You can clip it. It will happen.
They have to overcome this hump at some point. League One wasn't really a challenge. This is the first time that this team is up against something that is really, really big.
There's massive pressure going into this game. Much like there was pressure going into the last game last season for the Invincibles.
Yes.
And we very nearly chucked it away because the last minute sort of penalty that saved it. But this is different gravy though.
And again, not many of these players have Premiership football experience.
No, and
to be fair, next season, not many of them might have Premiership experience. I don't know how.
Look, a lot of them should have Premier League experience next season. Like they're good Championship players, and they've done us a really good turn this season. But yeah, it's almost like the case where if I want to make myself feel better, us getting promoted this season is not a good thing in the long term.
There's been a lot of preparations at the club for it. And
a little bit.
I think a lot of people were very ready for this to happen much sooner than it actually has.
So this is what we talked about at the time. This is the license for the bar. I mean,
that was the first thing.
Are you kidding me?
Ready for the press.
It's like, it was just, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, just keep it quiet. Do it in the background. Doesn't matter. You don't need to publicise these things. Like,
adjacent to all this, the Heart of Midlothian football job is now available.
And he's favourite.
I read that today, and I was double checking the date on the newspaper article because I was like, yeah, it makes sense, but also because there were stories about Nielsen as well, and I was like, this could have been a story from 10 years ago quite easily.
Listen, this is all copy and paste for when Critchell was appointed, because McGlynn was favourite for that as well.
So, they don't do it. They go, I don't know. Do Hearts come calling now?
Nah, I think, out of pure respect, I don't think McGlynn would entertain it until after the playoffs.
If they lose on Friday, right?
I mean,
if they lose...
Yeah, listen, if they lose on Friday and we inevitably don't go up through the playoffs, and Hearts come in looking for McGlynn to be the manager for next season, yes, he's away, gone, see you later.
That's a big job. Like that...
He's done it before, though.
He has.
And he's already said he doesn't want to take another managerial job after Falkirk, and he signed a 4-year deal with us.
But it's Hearts.
But it is Hearts, and we'll all be up going like, we'll just triple your wages, sir. Like,
that's the thing. And this would be his last shot at a big job.
Yeah, in the Premiership as well. I think if we got to the Premiership, I don't think he'd be interested. To get Hearts into the Premiership, he would have a much more stable background, background to the club in terms of like who's leading it.
Rubbish squad.
Yeah, massive
really
overhaul. He would probably fancy it though, I think.
Oh, they all do.
Yeah, it's an ego-driven business.
And that's the thing. You say he's come out and said the last job. That all goes out the window as soon as something interesting comes along. It's like, hey!
It's like, hi guys, remember me?
Getting on the cash train to Waverley, no bother. So yes, there's a lot of things up in the air. He will be fully focused on Friday to get the most from them. It's still in Falkirk's hands. They just need to overcome this final hurdle. Start well, go for it.
Yeah, it'll all depend on two things. It'll be the Hamilton outcome on Thursday, and then basically who starts up top on Friday, and that will determine everything.
4-2-4. That's what you're going for.
It'll be
classic.
It will bring in Gary Oliver back into the starting lineup. I'm telling you right now, that will happen.
He had the ball?
No.
Okay,
he can't run. He can't. He is better as a kind of number 10, but we've already got Arfield in there.
Put Arfield up front.
I'm sure maybe I mentioned that a wee bit earlier, but the really funny thing about that, certainly over the last couple of weeks, in fact, every game that Arfield's played, he has subbed off nearly bang on the hour mark.
Right.
Now, I don't know if there's something in his contract that stipulates this, or it's to keep Aidan Nesbitt happy, and frankly, I would just make Aidan Nesbitt really unhappy until I'm going to train the reserves if he's not interested.
This is the last game. I mean, all that goes out the window.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the other thing. Like, why are you game managing people when this is like literally your last throw of the dice? Why are you bringing off McKeever when you can bring on Barney and play two up top?
Mm-hmm. How many goals has Barney scored?
Not too many, but he's still a bigger threat than what Oliver's been, realistically. In that type of game, you needed two guys. Weirdly enough, one of the best goals we've scored recently against Morton, the 5-0 win, was when we had both Barney and McKeever up top.
Mm-hmm.
And because both players realise what they'd like in a cross, McKeever thinks this absolutely wonderful chip right on the byline, and Barney heads it in. It's a really well worked, simplistic goal by two strikers who know exactly what each other want.
Yes.
And you're like, brilliant. Why are we not seeing this every week? Like,
so, if I were to ask for your prediction, right now, as things stand, what is the score on Friday?
I think we'll draw one each. We'll go 1-0 up after about 15-20 minutes, and we'll push for the rest of the first half, and we'll sit at half time and go, we're in a good position, boys.
We're
in a good position. This is it. This is our time. Yeah, I'll be all excited, and then it'll get to about the 90th minute, and we'll be backs against the wall.
Yeah,
we'll be defending for dear life, and then it'll be somebody like Kevin O'Hara will score, and
can you imagine?
All the guys who have been lying on the edge of the pitch ready to run on the park will have to shuffle back to their seats in absolute disgust.
As Kevin O'Hara goes straight up and gives it a Calvin Miller to Wraith Rovers
in front of the 50 Hamilton fans that will be there, like, yeah.
Oh, good grief! I mean, Hamilton, they're an interesting one in that they came up through the playoffs last season, didn't they?
It was, yeah, Inverness last game,
which I think kind of gets lost a wee bit because everyone is so focused on Falkirk. So, and again, it's amazing how many years they stuck out the Premiership. But with their points deductions, and obviously, is this what happens when a club is constantly living beyond their means?
It's what happens to a club who's really poorly managed. You're seeing the same way Inverness as well, lived well beyond their means for long enough, and they found themselves in the position they're in now. I don't want to see Inverness disappear, but at the same time, you kind of reap what you sow a little bit in this game. They will suffer in League One for another season or two, and then they'll probably come back into the Championship.
Yeah.
Livingston, you almost want to put Livingston into that same bracket, but I think it's a slightly different game. It's they found a way of playing that sustained them in the Premiership for long enough, and that they just had big laddies just battering in, and it's almost going to put them back into the Premiership again.
I saw a comment on one of the things saying they'd love to see Falkirk go up because they deserve it, but they also don't want to see Livingston stay down because they hate watching Livingston play. Like, it's just it's an abrasive form of football that is there to win, and it does win, but it's not a pretty sight. And I actually think a lot of chairmen would like to see Falkirk stay down because there's a lot of big gate receipts there that would be very nice for them. If
you're Dunfermline and you're going, yeah, beauty, there's 2 games where you can sell at hospitality in a full stadium.
Yes.
If you're Wraith, you're going, yeah, beauty. Same thing. They really hate us just now. They will bring a big away support to really bam us up as much as they can.
Yes.
And vice versa. Similarly as well, again, if you want to kind of put a positive spin on it, if Falkirk stay down next season, I am likely to see them win more games than they'll lose games, which is all right.
Yep.
I won't have to go to places like Kilmarnock or Dundee.
Big stadiums, John, Premierships.
Where our record is absolutely appalling. And like I say, we've just not got the squad.
It has been a very long 15 years, though.
Yeah, I'm happy with another season.
Oh dear. Well, we will wait and see. I'm going to deliberately. Is it on BBC Scotland, the Falkirk game?
Yes, it is actually.
I would love like a duel. There's a real opportunity to have a side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. They could have like a kind of open all mics type thing.
Where are they going to put the car with the trophy? Like, is it going to be parked in the stadium car park? I'm trying to think what's in between. Like Bathgate? Are they going to have the trophy sitting in Bathgate?
I don't know if there's a helipad in like
I don't think they would use a helicopter. I don't think they would need to use a helicopter.
Nah. I mean, you watching somebody in like a kind of SFA or an SPFL Mercedes battering down the Avon Gorge.
That's what it would have to be.
When Falkirk are in it's like the 85th minute, Falkirk are winning 0. Livy are winning, that's fine. Guy gets a call, right, I think we should start heading to Falkirk.
Yeah.
And he's just coming up to the Avon Gorge.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, Hamilton have equalised. you better turn round, pal.
Again, this is kind of what football's all about. Like, I remember years ago now, when I was at university in Aberdeen, they were playing Motherwell for who got, I think it would have been 3rd place at the time. And it all came down to that one game. Sadly, Motherwell won because I think Stephen McManus absolutely closed-hanged Jamie Langfield.
I remember that, yeah.
Shamble of a challenge that went unchallenged. Motherwell won that game. But what a brilliant thing it was. And then I always go back to the Hibernian Rangers game that just went bonkers and was like 6-5 or something like that.
Oh, 5-5. It was 5-5 in the end. Neil Lennon doing the aeroplane on at the park. The game. Yep.
Good grief. So yeah, it is very exciting. So Partick Thistle obviously play Livingston.
Yep.
So they just need to better or equal Wraith Rovers' result, and they are in. I'm just looking at the fixtures now.
So Wraith Rovers are away to Queen's Park, so they should win that quite comfortably. Dunfermline must be playing Airdrie.
They're playing Morton.
Oh, Morton, sorry.
At Greenock in what is a relief game, which you can all just chill out.
I can't imagine there'll be too many at that game somehow.
Morton quietly finishing mid-table. So it's probably fine for them. Dunfermline have kind of dug their way out of massive danger.
I think they've had a really poor season.
Bad season. I think it said they had 9 wins or something like that. It's like nothing. Was it 9 wins? Was it worse than that?
I mean, they've been pretty poor. Like, they're quite funny to look back on, particularly. I'm amazed they held on to James McPhee for as long as they did. They then took forever to appoint Tidzaw, which didn't last very long.
It's always bad if you're sacking 2 managers in a season, I think.
Yeah. I mean, weirdly enough, Wraith have kind of went through that cycle as well. They sacked Ian Murray within like their first game.
The Ian Murray thing was daft.
Bringing a guy who was there till just before Christmas, and then he went to San...
Oh yeah, he went back to America, didn't he?
Oh God, where did he go?
It was somewhere not like a big team.
Oh, man alive, it was Sam something. It wasn't San Diego. Was it San Diego?
San Diego Earthquake or something like
that? Yeah, some weird place like that. He's not doing very well there, apparently.
Well, Barry Robson seems to have done an alright-ish job. I think he's kept them on an even keel.
Even keel, nearly got them back into the playoffs. So as a salvage season, I think he's done pretty well. But I wouldn't fancy Partick or Wraith to go very far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In that, Ayr aren't all that great either.
But Ayr are playing Airdrie away.
Nah, so you can just rest all your team.
Yeah, if you've got any brain, because they're on 60 points, they don't need any help.
This kind of comes back into the kind of fair play thing. That doesn't actually. That's a terrible point. I'm not going to make it. It made no sense. Sorry. Yeah.
In terms of resting players for playoff
Yeah,
games.
I was going to say, then like Airdrie have got everything or nothing to play for as well, and at the same time, depending on how Thursday goes.
I mean, but
that's known at that stage.
See, that's the thing. Because of the situation that is, yes, Ayr could play nothing. Like, they could just play their youth team, and Airdrie could smash them, and then Hamilton still go down, depending on whatever transpires.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yes, but Ayr have earned the right to put themselves in that position.
That's the point I came across my mind. That's why they're going to try back a little bit. It made no sense.
But then, does that give them an advantage over Livingston, who'll still have to play hard? But then they have to play Partick first. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's...
How much does rest play a factor?
At this stage of the season, it's hard to tell. I think the week probably makes a bit of a difference for playing that kind of third v fourth. If you're second. Where it becomes an absolute nightmare is when you do end up playing the Premiership team, which will be you play them on the Thursday at home at night, and then you'll never believe when the second leg is getting played.
Saturday afternoon?
Nope.
Sunday afternoon?
Nope.
Monday afternoon?
Monday night.
Big telly numbers.
I mean, what the... Who... So it's most likely going to be Ross County who's finishing 11th.
Yep.
So you're expecting Falkirk fans, Livingston fans, Ayr...
It's going to be dreadful.
They go up to County on a Monday night.
Can you imagine?
For what is their... For both
County
sides.
Livy game would be miserably attended. County Ayr would be even worse, because that's a
mammoth
enormous trip.
You're almost as well like driving down, getting the ferry to Belfast, flying up to Inverness, and then coming back up the way.
Some people have done crazier things, haven't they?
I mean, that's just... It's sickening in a lot of ways to the fans, to everybody. I appreciate Thursday to Sunday, it's quite a tight turnaround.
Yeah. For
both teams. I mean, particularly if you're Partick or Wraith and you've went through all these stages and then you're suddenly having to go Thursday, Sunday as a last that gasp. But at least it's a bit more palatable to the fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Monday night basically means you're going to have to take Monday off work, Tuesday off work to go to that.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to do that.
I mean, that's mad.
The playoffs have always they've been really badly done. And I think this is actually where England does a really good job in terms of the championship playoffs, especially where
all of them. All of the English playoffs are the way we should be doing it. We copy a bit too much out of English football, but that is the shining beacon of it all. Is how they do the playoffs. It should be 11th, play 4th, 2nd v 3rd, and then the final at a neutral venue.
But what you're saying is promote 2 teams.
Not really.
But that's what they do in England. Well, no, they promote 3 teams. Sorry,
but
so you saying just automatically relegate the second bottom?
A little bit different, because particularly because the second, in fact, all the leagues are quite small in terms of numbers.
Yes.
I think you still have to have that 11th v a team for the championship. So 11th v 4th home and away.
Yes.
And then 2nd v 3rd home and away, which follows the English
model.
Trajectory, kind of staggered a little bit.
So you have the final at a neutral venue?
Final neutral venue. If it's, well, let's say it was Falkirk against Ross County, you could play that at Dens or Tannadice.
Yeah.
And you could play at Tannadice and sell it out. That's about halfway.
I'd play at McDermott. Makes things
we would take more than 5,000 though. For that kind of game, yeah, we would.
Alright.
I'm just saying.
It's the Ross County fans. I'm trying to balance things out.
But would you still have like one end stand and then Falkirk on the other 3? Like it's,
I don't really care,
like
John.
It's a Celtic game.
Falkirk wouldn't make it to the playoff final. That's the point. The thing, they'd be too heartbroken by not winning the league.
This is it.
It would be such a write-off.
I've already said to my dad, I've said to Gary and Kirsten that I'm not going. I'm not going. There's no way. I'm not interested.
Yeah, there's been too much heartbreaking seasons gone by.
Yeah.
Saw Carlisle United. We've gone down.
Yeah, sad that.
We won't be doing another day trip there unless there's a specific National League North game you want to go and see on. No.
So On that kind of subject, going off topic, I think the National League is going to have one of the most outrageous
trips
away days ever.
Is it like Truro or something?
I'm
like
sure Truro got promoted, so you have to go from Truro City up to Carlisle. That's the longest possible away day.
People do it.
No, else in the way I've done Southampton away with Newcastle, which for them was a big journey, but for us we'd literally fly there.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Well,
we'll see how it goes.
We will see how it goes. I mean, who would your playoff pick be at the moment in terms of who would face the Premiership team as the league stands just now?
It'll be whoever finishes second will be the team who will play against the Premiership team.
Okay.
I think so. It'll be if it's Livingston. They will comfortably beat either Partick or.
I don't know.
Or they would.
I don't know.
Yeah, listen, they have they're on form. They're scoring goals.
Yeah,
they've got big bruisers in their team, which when it comes to a kind of playoff game over two legs quite quickly,
yeah,
that plays in your favour big time. And the same kind of thing, I would expect them to just play attritional football,
which is exactly the way to play a game
and
like
actually
that.
Get promoted. I wouldn't favour Falkirk to get promoted, but I'd definitely favour Livingston to get promoted out of the playoffs. I think that it's just the style of play. They've got experience playing Premiership teams from last season.
Yep.
So they know how to get those kind of results. 100%. I'd fancy them in the playoffs.
Oh well, very exciting. We shall wait and see, because our season review will shortly follow.
Yeah.
Whatever happens on Friday night, which hopefully will give John a little bit of time to digest whatever happens, either
get my blood pressure down a little bit
in the positive light of things, or in the negative light of things. So we will see. I won't curse anything by preempting the parade and the open top bus that they've definitely already organised.
Oh, that's guaranteed. I mean, they're already having an end of season party and on the afternoon at the Manicky. Weirdly enough.
With the players?
Yeah.
Is the public invited to that? Or
yeah. It's £25 a ticket or something like that.
That could be £25 to bosh Gary Oliver in the face.
Two things you never want to hear is Manicky and buffet.
Lovely. I mean, these are the perks of being a footballer for the top team in the Championship, it would seem.
Again, I'll give that one a body swerve.
Indeed. So we will see. What's the other footballing news this week? I mean, Hearts sacking their manager, Critchley.
Hearts sacking their manager is definitely a big one. It looks like the Rangers takeover is probably going to go ahead now. Celtic won the league, as we all expected. They threw tangerines on the park. You see that? And Sodico balls. So they spent £42 for their ticket, and then say £1.50 on a punnet oranges. And then a couple of quid on a Sports Direct Sodico.
Great job.
How did they get them through the turnstiles?
Yeah, great job, security. They don't do anything, do they? They just move through it. I mean, that'll be great for the audio listeners.
Like, no, I'm just pregnant. Like,
you've got a baldy heat, pal. I'm searching you.
Like, no, I'm pretending to be Dolly Parton today. Like.
Aye. Well, that was a foregone conclusion. That was definitely one for the visual viewers. Right. Well, with new American owners, Baz is gone, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. So this has been, I think they were talking about it in Sports Sound. How much money do you think it's going to take to get Rangers on a par with Celtic as their first team?
I don't think it's about money, because I think any team at that level needs a good core of young players. Mm-hmm. And you know, that's exactly what Barry Ferguson was for Rangers.
Aye.
And you know, he keeps talking to, I think he's trying to push this narrative of being a Rangers man and what that means.
Yes, blue suit, brown shoes.
What does Cyril Dessers care about the history of Rangers? He doesn't care about the history of Rangers. You know, maybe a McCausland or a Barron or something like that.
Listen, does Maeda care about the history of Celtic? Probably not.
No, but he's a very good footballer, so he doesn't need to care.
Doesn't need that extra motivation.
Celtic have played an absolute blinder in that, actually, has Rodgers... Well, I suppose he would have played a part in like the Jota signings and things like that, wouldn't he?
I think for Jota, definitely, particularly bringing him back.
Aye.
It's an outrageous bit of business.
I'm trying to see, like, did Postecoglou make this team? Did Rodgers make this team? I suppose it's a little bit of both.
That's a good question. So I think...
The Japanese boys were an absolute sensation.
Yeah, but I mean, there's only really Maeda left from that.
So not the other one. I don't think he's Japanese, but... is Hatate?
Hatate's Japanese as well, okay, I'll give you that. But either was a Rodgers signing Schmeichel
I mean, but he's just a like for heart, really.
I have no idea who signed players like Cameron Carter-Vickers, who I think's quite underrated.
Yeah.
And then you've got kind of the critical thing for that Celtic team is if they've got 2 or 3 players who have been there for long enough and they've won trophies consistently. So you've got like James Forrest, Callum McGregor, Greg Taylor to a lesser extent, Ralston incredibly still there. Rangers don't have that.
I did like that. You see the picture of his wife with the pineapple on her head.
No.
I think they went out for lunch to celebrate their new baby. Congratulations to the Taylors, if that's what she's called. I don't know. Yep. But yeah, there was a pineapple on the ledge behind her, but it looks like she's balancing it perfectly on her head.
All right, it wasn't upside down or anything. Like
it wasn't upside down. No. It's went semi-viral. So
people might not understand what I'm talking about.
I don't understand that, but I'm not going to get into it because it concerns me greatly. But he, I think, was humming and hawing about a new deal as well.
Oh, he's not good at it.
It would be handy for depth, though. It's the
same. Yeah, same way Ralston's handy for depth. But we're going off track actually about the Rangers.
The Rangers thing.
The Rangers will be going, why are you talking about Celtic?
Yeah. Rangers need better young Scottish players to build around. And that might be just 2 or 3 guys in the team. Again, Celtic just have 2 or 3 Scottish guys in the team. I mean, some of the old firm, there was 0 Scottish players on the pitch, which is the thing scary.
Their young Scottish player is Conor Barron, who I think's had a dreadful season.
He's not good. The Aberdeen route has not been fruitful for them. And to be fair, this is another problem in Scottish football in that they can't really pick off the good young Scottish players from the Scottish teams anymore because there's not enough talent around, really.
Kind of. But their biggest problem, Celtic Rangers' biggest problem there, is that everyone else's eyes are on young Scottish talent.
Yes.
When they get to that certain age.
Picked up.
And they get picked up.
So they're long before they even start playing for these teams, they're gone.
100%.
Right, okay, I didn't think about that.
I mean, if you think Lewis Ferguson, in 10, 15 years ago, his natural progression from Aberdeen was probably Rangers.
Yes. Hamilton original, by the way.
Hamilton original. But then he's suddenly off ski. Hickey probably would end up playing for Rangers or Celtic in the olden days.
Gone.
Off. You know,
could Billy Johnson, Gilmore be on the cards?
They come back. No, Billy, he's only 22, 23. I wouldn't say he was idolised at Napoli, but he's certainly
he's not on the cards in the same way McTominay's on the cards.
I mean, McTominay, if Napoli win the league this season, I would not be at all surprised if there's a statue of McTominay outside.
I think they're on track, aren't they? I heard recently that they're...
Inter Milan lost to Roma yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. And
then Napoli won 2-0 against Torino on Sunday night. Watched both games. Great watch. Brilliant.
It's the best Scottish Englishman going.
So I ended up watching the Aberdeen Hibs game on Hibs TV. Went to see Kirsty's sort of baby daughter. So the referee in that game looks like Scott McTominay that you would probably order off some ropey Chinese website.
Right, okay.
He's like a really kind of cut price version. I can't remember the referee's name, but you kind of picture like for like.
Same,
oh my god, it's the poor man's McTominay.
I met someone today that looked exactly like Vladimir Zelensky. That's quite remarkable.
Maybe it was him.
It definitely wasn't him, unless he's got an interest in higher physics and improvement planning. But anyway, where was I? Napoli, McTominay,
Rangers,
Gilmore,
full circle.
Rangers. I had something else to say. Oh yeah, Hibernian. Aberdeen, great win, huge win,
massive win. I can't believe we've got to 49 minutes in and we're just talking about this now.
I know. Apparently they did really well in that game. I was talking to someone today and it was a lot of Aberdeen.
Looked quite good. Because I was kind of preoccupied. I held my baby for the first time.
Oh,
very cute. So I was kind of distracted by doing that. But I thought they looked alright, to be fair. I think quite comfortable.
Third place is on.
The chase is on, like.
I can't remember how it works out because we talked about this before. So third place gets a Conference League place.
Oh, I looked this up.
So Aberdeen are in the cup final as well. And if they win the cup final,
they're guaranteed
the good European place or something like that.
Yes, so they're going to right. How does this go? So first place, it's Champions League playoff.
Okay.
So you're guaranteed Europa League.
Yep.
Second place is third round Champions League qualifying. So you got one round and then playoffs, and then you get Champions League. Third place is Scottish Cup winner gets playoffs for the Europa League, so they're guaranteed Conference League.
Correct. Third
place, and if you follow it by the league, go into the second round qualifying for Europa League.
Yes, Europa League second qualifying round.
And then fourth, I don't think fourth gets anything, do they?
Fourth is Conference League second qualifying round.
Oh Christ, right.
So if league champions win Scottish Cup, third place gets that spot.
Yeah, so fifth place will then get into Europe.
Yeah, so Jing's alive. So you could be potentially Europa League qualifying in fourth.
Oh, and
That's
fifth would be the Conference League. Aye.
Fifth would be the Conference League. Come on, ye Saints!
For once as well, I don't think this has happened in a long time. It's very conceivable that we'll have the
half the league in Europe.
Well, I was going to say, like, 5 of the bigger teams in Scotland, Hearts being the omission, actually taking part in Europe this season.
I mean, you imagine the heritage of like an Aberdeen, a Dundee United back in Europe, which pretty much looks locked in. That 2 out of the 3 of Hibs, Dundee United and Aberdeen are going to be in this.
Yeah, and if they
possibly
can get
all 3.
If they can get even to the Conference League group stages,
yes,
what a difference that makes to our coefficient, because these guys are playing consistently.
And I think this will be the last year, because our coefficient's going backwards.
Big time, yeah.
And it did not help last year, so this will be the last time to really sort it. So Hibs have not had European football for a long time. I mean, Dundee United won't have had European football for a long time either.
So their last European outing would have been the absolute doing they got off Alkmaar.
Okay.
Obviously, season got relegated.
Right.
We're talking 3.
They have a great team. They used to produce so many good young players. I think what they actually went on to. I saw a good Gary Mackay-Stephen goal, funny enough, for Aberdeen. I was like,
remember him?
Remember him, aye. Stuart Armstrong was a Dundee United product. Suter, Robertson to a certain extent. Winning the league with Liverpool. And
Ryan Gold.
The worst. I still remember.
Topic.
I still remember the sports team where I was like, this is the new Messi. This is our guy. And then.
And he says for Sport Lisbon, you go, my God, he's the new Ronaldo.
He's such a. The thing is, right, he says, I can't play Scottish football. It's not my style. It's not my system.
That's true.
Yeah, we should have figured that out. Like, who cares if you're the world's best MLS player? Nobody. Nah,
not even the Americans care about that.
Exactly. Who cares about Johnny Russell? Is he still going out there? Is that thing?
Yes, he signed for somebody, and it was like, we've signed a Highlander. So I'm not entirely sure where Johnny Russell's from.
There was I saw a really funny clip of some American team signed some guy from Norwich City, who they described on the broadcast as a legend from England. We've got a legend. And the poor bloke didn't know what to say. He was like, I'll try my best, guys.
Johnny Russell.
Who again we vaguely recalled, I think, didn't we? There was 1 or 2 of them.
Johnny Russell has just signed for Real Salt Lake.
Are they still an MLS team?
Yeah. Do you know where they signed that Highlander from? Where that Highlander was born?
Johnny Russell?
Yeah.
Aberdeen.
Glasgow.
Okay, so he's not Highlander at all.
Very Highlander kind of place that.
They won't care. What would you do with Rangers? To bring it back to the original point.
It's a fascinating one. I agree. I don't think it takes an awful lot to get them back on a par with Celtic in terms of the league.
Mm-hmm.
They just need someone who, they need a manager who can get a team going, which isn't Barry Ferguson.
Not a Rangers man, by the way. They need to get out of that. That mentality's long gone. It's not modern football. They can't do that anymore, I believe.
The two or 3 names again, like, so I would discount Barry Ferguson immediately. Sean Dyche has been talked about. I think he would be a reasonably good fit. The problem with that...
Staunch.
He's the kind of anti-woke kind of guy, which is, I'm sure, suits a lot of that kind of...
Get like
Will
Keane, Harry Maguire.
Get the band back together.
Centre pair,
yeah.
Who was the other centre half that Everton have that's a bit of a bruiser? I can't mind.
Oh, God, back in the day, we had Seamus Coleman, guys like that.
Yeah. Rudiger, is he on the way out?
Well, maybe. Look for a swan song in Ibrox.
That's great defenders. You remember the Cuellar days, and then
Sasa Papak.
Well, he became good eventually. Majid Magera was the one. So short-lived, these players.
Sean Dyche is a reasonable shout. I wouldn't have Steven Gerrard back. I think a lot. I think he was just the front of this. I think a lot
of the successful team around him was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And then Jose Mourinho's like an outsider choice if they want to spend money. I think that would be a terrible appointment.
His reputation is so big that
he's got a massive reputation, but his football is dire.
Yeah, at this point, and again, you'd have to back him with a lot of signings that I don't think they could manage. Yeah. I think they're struggling still at the moment, aren't they? So
I mean, the reason I would want Jose Mourinho in Scottish football is in the hope and pray that Rangers got drawn away to someone like Fraserburgh or Brora in the Scottish Cup.
And Jose has to trump
And
up
Jose's
there.
got to stand in a field in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. What did he say? He'd done a coaching course here.
Largs is
aye.
the place to go for Scottish coaching.
He's the only one to ask for sparkling water, apparently.
You can just picture it. It'll be like 3 feet of mud. It'll be like.
But it's the whole can Messi do it on a Tuesday night in Stoke
Aye.
thing, isn't
I mean,
it?
it'd be absolutely brilliant to watch it. I mean, that for entertainment factor would be absolutely amazing.
It wouldn't
but
last. It'd be a novelty that was,
It's the same kind of thing like with Roy Keane playing against Clyde in his debut.
Aye.
I mean, imagine Roy Keane coming for like Old Trafford and all
Aye.
these places,
Needing a pee.
rocks up at Broadwood and gets beat.
I know. Career
Phenomenal.
didn't last much beyond that. For all the people who are watching these podcasts and thinks he's the world's greatest thing since sliced bread.
On his podcasts.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. We've offered next to no solution there, but it will be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, if you have enjoyed listening to this episode, I think we're about rounding off now.
Yeah, we're close to an hour. So
Okay.
we've made it.
That'll do. As the Falkirk Bears said after their win against Hamilton.
Expect the unexpected.
Indeed. If you have listened all the way through this episode, give us a like, a subscribe and a follow wherever you are. Helps us out. Leave us a comment. What would you do with Rangers? Who would you like to see win the championship as well? Would be great to hear. And follow us on our social media platforms at Sofamanager on Instagram for some reels and John's Footballogy visits and hopefully some Swiss content sometime soon.
Yeah, you never know.
So look forward to. Anyway, so thank you for watching from myself, Paul.
Yeah, cheers guys, all the best.
And have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Goodbye.
Bye. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, my back. Okay.
Am I loud enough, sound enough?
Talk
That's
to me again.
my absolute fear usually.
Yeah, that's fine. Smile is your absolute fear.
Oh, smiling, happiness, positivity.
That's what it's going to be. Your video is upload complete, so that's the third short gone. It's got 20 views already.
Wow, those Chinese are very keen.
Oh, I don't know how it works. There's never any engagement on them. It's the weirdest thing.
I was like thinking, well, I mean, the first shot done quite well. The first reel done quite well.
Yeah. What episode is it?
113. So the first reel got 314 views, 258 and 310, which only put that up last night. Now, yeah, 314 views, but when you look at his insights, more people liked the first one. The average watch time is 7 seconds.
They just flick through. That's what happens.
But it's fine, it's eyeballs.
Right. On that note.
On that.